This solves everything for the Dallas Cowboys, as we have been linked to the perfect fit for our biggest problem on defense, and we got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Cowboys Football 365. If you are a Dallas Cowboy fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But let's jump right into the news for today, coming from our NFL insider Dustin Lewis, writing for Sports Illustrated, who writes, "It's not really a secret that defensive miscues plagued the Dallas Cowboys through the 2025-26 NFL season and were the main reason the franchise did not return to the postseason for the second consecutive year. Dallas finished last in the league in scoring defense and passing defense, surrendering the most points in a single season in franchise history. Obviously, the defensive backfield struggled with injuries popping up across the board, but the pass rush was not consistent either. Fortunately for us, Dustin Lewis has linked the Cowboys to the perfect solution. The free agent market will be filled with talent, including Cincinnati Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson. The 31-year-old just wrapped up a one-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals following a lengthy contract dispute. Trey Hendrickson, drafted by the New Orleans Saints back in the 2010s, now plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. He is a fantastic pass rusher, actually led the entire NFL in sacks a couple years ago. Trey Hendrickson, entering this season, the news around him was he was undergoing a pretty aggressive behind the scenes contract extension negotiation talks with the front office of the Cincinnati Bengals. If you followed football for a long time, you would know the Cincinnati Bengals are one of the cheapest organizations in the NFL, maybe in all of sports, and they tried to cheap out on Trey Hendrickson as well. Instead of giving away a big payday and a contract extension to a player that had put up 17 and a half sacks in back-to-back seasons, the Cincinnati Bengals decided to pinch pennies. They let the contract negotiations linger all the way up to almost the very start of the NFL season, eventually inking Trey Hendrickson to a one-year contract rework. They only locked him up for one season. We were hearing the Bengals wanted to make it a shorter deal. Trey Hendrickson wanted it to be a longer deal. This is pretty consistent with what we see between negotiations when they happen between front offices and the player. The player usually wants more guarantees. They want more stability. They want longevity, and the front office doesn't want to give it to them. They don't want to take long-term risks. They don't want to get long-term money locked up. In this situation, the Bengals, they just like, they always do, they decided they weren't going to take the long-term risk, which is a problem because to win in the NFL, you have to take risks. But don't tell the Cincinnati Bengals I told them that, because I don't want to see the Cincinnati Bengals become good. Let's talk about what this matters, why this matters for us. Currently, the market value, according to Spotrac, for defensive end Trey Hendrickson as he enters free agency is $25.4 million annually. We know last year Trey Hendrickson was looking for a big-time guaranteed multi-year deal. I believe he was looking for 3 seasons and close to fully guaranteed. While we wouldn't be offering Trey Hendrickson something like that, exactly what we can see here in this second, top of the image, second box at market value, 2 years, $51 million is something that I think would be a really, really smart contract to pay Trey Hendrickson to. Is he going to sign for that? I doubt it. He likely is going to be up in the higher range of that, somewhere, definitely over $30 million per season, because Trey Hendrickson, if we go back to the stats, 17 and a half sacks this season, was injured for a lot of the season, came back probably a week too early. I believe it was week 8. He came back, tried to play against the New York Jets, and then injured himself for a longer period of time. Cincinnati Bengals kind of in a little bit of the same position as we are. They had a great edge rusher that they were in a contract dispute with, and the rest of the defense was absolutely terrible. Now, the question is, do you bring in Trey Hendrickson to add to this Cowboys defense? I think it would be a great idea, because currently, we are really hurting at the defensive end position. One of the biggest questions facing our front office for this offseason is whether or not you re-sign the about to be 33-year-old Jadeveon Clowney. And while I am in favor of re-signing Clowney, maybe Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones may decide that they want to save the money on Clowney and put that, that salary cap towards someone else, perhaps a Trey Hendrickson. But what we do know is that Dante Fowler Jr. and Donovan Ezraku, combined with the pass rush from the interior that you get from Quinnen Williams and the pass rush that you get from the linebacker position from DeMarvion Overshown, that is not going to be enough pass rushing in our front seven to get it done at a high enough level. We brought in a new defensive coordinator who historically has been a defensive backs coach. You would expect that would add a bit of a blanket boost across the board to our defensive backs, but still, those defensive backs, they're not going to completely flip a switch in one season. As much as I believe in the prospect of Siobhan Revel, who's going into his second year, as much as I believe in Deron Bland's ability to bounce back from the injury that cost him the end of this season, the secondary isn't going to be something wildly different going into next season, even if we go out and spend either the 12th or 20th overall pick on a cornerback. The back end is not going to be good, which means we need the front end to step up. We need to be able to get back into a position where quarterbacks feel like the pass rush is coming. And when they feel like the pass rush is coming, that leads to them forcing throws. They rush throws. Maybe they don't fully read the defense, and we can get back into forcing teams into situations where they throw the ball too quickly. They don't see a closing cornerback, and we get seasons like Deron Bland when he had all those pick sixes a couple of years ago, or when Trevon Diggs had all those interceptions also a couple of years ago. I mean, these years kind of just mold together when every year feels like it ends the same for us with just disappointment at the end of it. But the secondary, of course, they need to step up, but that will step up with coaching and additions in the draft. The free agent market in terms of defensive backs is not as strong as it is for the defensive ends. That's where I really believe that the money is best well spent when you are looking at what the needs for our team is and how much salary cap space we have to go out and address those needs. So Trey Hendrickson is an absolute monster that I really do think this is one of the top names that we should be going after in going into the next season. I believe he's going to be turning 32. So while being on the wrong age of 30, players are playing longer and longer into their careers. NFL medical stuff is getting better and better and better. These guys are going to be able to stay healthy for longer. They will be able to play at a high level for longer. So while he is on the back end of his prime, Trey Hendrickson is still absolutely in the prime of his career. And we absolutely need to be taking we got to go get him, man. I've said it. Don't need to say it again. We should be going and picking up Trey Hendrickson. That's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Cowboys.